about 10 years ago. In 2012, I was involved in a car accident where 3 of my best friends passed away. I was the only survivor. I broke my 2 femurs, my toe. I have nerve damage on my left heel where my broken toe, metatarsal was. I have this ugly scar. I broke my left arm. My right elbow snaps when I extend it too far. And then I have arthritis, and there's this mental health. I video edit. I used to video edit when I was in high school and part of college. Film directing. So my goal towards the future will probably be that film. In the aftermath of my car accident, I grappled with both physical pain and emotional distress. Zeus was my loyal dog. Zeus was more than a pet. When he passed away last year, I felt a void, a need to honor his legacy. 3 months later, fate intervened. The Animal Action League offered me a purpose, a chance to give back. They hired me, and suddenly my existence had meaning beyond survival. Maybe, just maybe, this is why I'm still here, to make a difference, one paw print at a time, right?
My name is Melody Farnick, and I'm the director of Animal Action League.
Hi, my name is Barbara Delaney. I'm currently president of Animal Action League.
I'm Janine Barr.
I'm Dr. Jeff Herman, and I am the veterinarian surgeon for Animal Action League.
My name is Lisa Savacool, and I'm volunteering at the Animal Action League.
My name is Tamara Turner. I'm Jordin Kuecks' daughter.
Animal Action League is a low-cost mobile spay-neuter clinic that travels in to low-income areas to provide services to help with birth prevention.
I'm very proud of my mother for starting Animal Action League. It was a passion that it took her 20 years to develop. Growing up with my mother, her work ethic was amazing. She worked, she's a single mom, took care of my sister and I. She worked about 10 hours a day, and then when she had time off, we'd go on vacations, we'd go hiking, we'd go camping, and she took us all over the world. She did not want to have a cat or a dog. I finally brought home a little tiny kitten, and it crawled on top of her tummy while she was taking a nap, and it was all over from there. We had cats, we had dogs.
Right. She, I guess, always had a great love of animals, particularly cats. And I remember she talked about going one time, she was a travel agent, so she went all over the world.
She first discovered the trap and release, TNR, in England, where she was traveling, and she noticed a group doing that, would trap the feral cats and then neuter them or spay them and then release them. And then she came down here to Palm Springs and tried to start that project.
Telling me about this place that had all these cats wandering around, and they were saying, wow, how are you going to handle all these cats? And she says, oh, well, look at their ears are tipped. They've all been neutered or spayed. And so that gave her the idea, and that's how she kind of started, as taking care of homeless feral cats. And then it expanded from there. Of course, when she first started, she didn't have enough funds and people to work, and she didn't do clinics as often as we do now.
I know Jordin had different locations that she would not so much rent out, but in a sense rent out different vet clinics. I know there was Animal Samaritans and Save a Pet, animal birth control. These were different clinics that would let her use their facilities, like on Sundays when they weren't using it. And she would bring in, it was kind of like a mobile, she would pack up all her stuff, show up, they would do, 40 to 50 animals on a Sunday and stuff like that. So that's how they would do it. They themselves would just go to these stationary clinics and do these animals.
Animal Action League has evolved exponentially since I started. When we started, it was literally a different unit than we have now, but it was a mobile surgical unit that they had to park in the parking lot of a defunct neighborhood building complex that never took off. They had built the office there, and that was it. There were no houses or anything that were built. So they let us park our trailer there, and that's basically how we worked. It was a skeleton crew staff. We had myself, 2 techs inside, and somebody outside, 1 or 2 people outside checking in and dealing with the clients.
And then she became more passionate about the spay-neuter project. She didn't want to foster. She didn't want to adopt or work in that aspect of the animal kingdom. She knew that the overcrowded was because of spay-neuter, and she wanted to do whatever she could to do that.
She taught me more about fixing the females over the males, because the females are the ones that are the incubators. So as long as you're fixing the females over the males, those are the most important, because a male, yeah, he can impregnate the females. However, if there's no females to impregnate, then we're definitely safer on, if there's no females to impregnate, then you're good. So we just always are concentrating on females being birth control. Those are the ones that we're always going to concentrate on. The reason why these shelters and we're becoming so full, because back in the 80s, it was like 20 to 25 million were being euthanized in our shelters. And a lot of them were the lower income people that could not afford to get their animals fixed. 2004, she worked on a huge grant through the DJ&T Foundation, and they were granted the big, the one that's in Joshua Tree, our trailer in Joshua Tree, and a truck. They got this huge grant, and that's when they became mobile to be able to go into all these different impoverished neighborhoods to do the low-cost spay-neuter.
And she filed for a grant, and Bob Barker bought her first mobile unit, and it took off from there.
Bob Barker, reminding you help control the pet population. Have your pet spayed or neutered.
High admiration for spay-neuter. I began volunteering at a kill shelter out of Nevada, and I didn't understand the need for spay-neuter right off the bat until I started seeing plastic bags being pulled out of the back door, and I asked somebody what that was, and they were the dogs and cats that they ran out of room. And I realized that there was an overcrowding in these shelters, and realized that there were exactly just too many animals being born and not enough homes. And when shelters get full, what happens is they have to euthanize. You can't just keep adding more and more animals to these cages. And so my journey to spay-neuter began with just volunteering at a low-cost spay-neuter clinic at that shelter. And then Animal Action League came in my path when I decided I wanted to become an RVT. And that never came into fruition because Animal Action League kind of took over my volunteering, and I realized that this is where I was needing to be, of just putting all my energy and time into just spay and neuter, because prevention, in my opinion, is better than killing and also housing animals. You can, to me, animal housing is not kind of fixing a problem. You're kind of like putting a Band-Aid on something that, you know, in my opinion, an animal in a cage for years and years is not a life. Just like an animal living in streets is not a life, you know. So if you can prevent it, which spay and neuter, preventing that is the answer. So that's kind of where I'm dedicated my life, and that's why I knew Animal Action League was my mission.
Over time, that obviously, once we started doing more and more surgery days and things started building, and we knew that this was going to be something that was going to be permanent and something that we wanted to establish and grow, that's when it really started to kind of take off to where we've got, I don't know, 12, 13 employees, anywhere between 6 and 10 different volunteers at any one time, 2 mobile surgical units. One is permanent in our new place and one that we take around to the communities. We've got a brick and mortar office now, which we didn't have. And we are extremely well known, as far as I know, within the area, to the point where we really have more work than we can handle.
I enjoy working with everybody here, and as a volunteer, it's more impactful when you come because you don't have to be here. You know, I don't feel like it's a job, it's more of a passion. And seeing all of these animal lovers getting their dogs taken care of and knowing that we're helping their dogs to be healthier and live longer lives is very fulfilling.
Everybody here is awesome. Honestly, it's one of the things that has kept me around at Animal Action League so long is my coworkers, our employees, whether it's the volunteers, the hospital director, the check-in techs, our RVTs, pretty much everybody here is awesome. Y'all are passionate. You really are committed. And it's fun to have seen how much all of you all have grown as well, and how people have kind of taken over their roles and run with them without having to either be supervised or pushed or anything like that. Is the entire organization comes together as a team and always has. And that's really the heart of what makes this thing all go and work is the people. And whether, no matter how small or insignificant you think your role is, to how important you think your role is, it's a well-oiled machine. So if one piece goes down or is not working right, the whole thing doesn't work right.
She had liver cancer for about 20 years, and because she was such a health nut, she kind of defeated all odds in taking great supplements, vitamins. So she lived a lot longer than the doctors thought she'd live, but she did die of liver cancer.
How was that?
Well, you know, because she worked so hard at Animal Action League, her last 5 years was really tough for her to do. She was so frustrated because she didn't have the energy to fulfill her mission, and it was very frustrating to her. But I said, Mom, just take a break, just take a break. And she goes, if I don't do it, who will?
It was pretty strong. You know, I did a lot of work bedside. She was sickly with cancer, liver cancer. It was hard. I remember as it was getting very close, I remember grabbing her hand and letting her know that I was not going to let anything change her mission. We were never going to change her mission statement, and we were going to always concentrate on spay neuter. We weren't going to switch from going from a, you know, some places after a founder like her passes, there's a lot of different hands that can take over, and they say, oh, we're going to switch to, you know, an adoption agency, or we're going to go to full service, or, you know, and funds will be transferred into something completely different. She never wanted the funds of Animal Action League to go towards anything but spay and neuter. Her huge mission was always birth control. It was she never wanted it to go towards adoptions or any type of medical you know, if there's a dog with a broken leg that's going to cost $3,000 to fix. She never wanted Animal Action League to go towards those or go towards rescue missions. All the funds needs to go towards birth control. Until every single animal is fixed, every single penny needs to go towards animal birth prevention. You know, it's like why we don't subsidize, you know, vaccinations or microchipping, you know, it has to go towards spay neuter. And I promised her, you know, with tears in my eyes when she was getting close to the end, that I will never let that happen while I'm still running, you know, Animal Action League. And she had made sure that I was a board member before she passed away, because she knew that her vision was my vision and my vision was her vision, which I think was huge in her knowing that. I think she felt peace when she was about to pass, that she was passing the baton on to the right person. And I feel good about that, you know, because I'm very strong in the whole birth control.
Melly got hired, our little angel from above. She's taken it off. She has now replaced Jordin with that work ethic and mission, and every time she questions anything on how to do something different, you know, like open it up to other things, she thinks, what would Jordin do? And it's like, keep it simple, spay and neuter. That's all we're about, is spay and neuter. And I can't imagine anyone else stepping into her shoes. Melody is just amazing. Godsend. Right before she passed away, I was holding her hand, and I knew that she was holding on to life because of her passion for Animal Action League. So, and I knew it was time, but she didn't want to let go. So I held her hand and I said, we've got it, I've got you, I've got a piece of property, we'll take care of it. Because it was such a huge passion of hers, that once I said that, 2 minutes later, she took her last breath, and she was gone.
I realized why Animal Action League had been around so long, and because talk about passion and drive, that's the biggest thing that she had, and really was the blueprint for where we're at now. I wish she could see where where we've gotten to, because I think honestly, even if she may have thought it could be like this, I don't know that she ever thought it would. And so to know that this is kind of, we've sort of fulfilled a dream of our organizational leader from the start is fantastic. And but yeah, just a wonderfully passionate woman who really cared about the community, the animal community, and what she could do in what little way she could with what she had. So she got the ball rolling for sure.
Mascotas, y los tenemos que cuidar. We know that there's a lot of love for our animals, and we need to do everything to take care of our animals and care for our animals. So on behalf of the city of Coachella, Melody, thank you so much for what you're doing. We appreciate you, huh? Thank you so much. All right, who's up?
I think she would be really happy to see that there's a city like that is supporting her mission. It would be neat to see other cities do that type. We do have some counties that do some great pledges to us. We do have outside grants that give us large donations, private sponsorships, but to have just a city give us that type of funding is a big step in the right direction, and we're hoping other cities will follow suit.
No, 100% for sure. Hopefully by tonight.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, if that's the worst you're gonna miss, what do you mean? I'm golden.
We're recording now. Started recording.
Yeah. I mean, you can always edit. And you're gonna go clear. Rocky! You're a buggo.
You have 62 new voice messages. Wow, I'm so excited to be reading this message. My name is Aaron. I have two cats, a female and a male. Can you call me back? Thank you. I live in Banning, and I have two cats, a male and a female, that I need spayed, neutered, and vaccinated. I'm interested in having my females get spayed or neutered. She's a Yorkie. The city I live in is Indio. The breed I want to get spayed and neutered is a Shih Tzu. Yucca Valley, California. I have a male. It's either a rat terrier or a chihuahua. They're about 20 weeks old. I have a dog, golden retriever, and I live in Desert Hot Springs. Thank you. I live in Bermuda Dunes, and I'm seeing two pit bull mixes. Thank you so much. I have a second cat you already have seen under the feral cat program. We live in Yucca Valley, and our little rescue pet is some kind of doodle mix, 25 pounds. Please call me back, as this is really, really urgent. Thank you so much. I live in the city of Banning, and I have two female kittens, 5 months old. He was rescued out of a car engine. Again, if you could call me back. And I'm leaving my cat safe. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm calling in regards to my dog Lacey. She's a poodle mix. 4-month-old kittens, 2 of them, Snowbell and Kayla, and I have a voucher for $100 for each of them. Message 87 of your new. And I have 2 male Frenchies that need to be neutered. And I have a little 5.5-month-old cat that I want to have I believe spayed. I think she's a girl, but I'm not 100% positive. But female Yorkie, I want to get it spayed or neutered. I'm not sure how it goes. And please give me a call because I would like to get this done. Female Great Pyrenees mix. Like to get her spayed.
As of 8:50 a.m. Monday, August 19th, we have received over 200 voicemails for the month of September requesting spay-neuter appointments and have stopped accepting any more spay-neuter requests. You may now try our standby option at any of our clinics.
Hi, this is Sammy with Animal Action League. I'm returning your call for our open booking day this morning. Right, and would you say he has short, medium, or long hair? So I'll assign you guys a check-in time of 8 a.m. for that morning. Did you need the address for the banning location? And then more good news, it is a sponsored clinic that day, so we're just going to be asking you for a $25 donation or whatever you can afford. Of course. Okay, so the earliest and the closest I can set you up at is a Joshua Tree Clinic on the 4th of September. How does that work for you? Oh, awesome. We're just going to be parking our trailer underneath the giant cement structure.
And that's kind of it in a nutshell so far.
We're here at the Animal Action League for our famous drive-through nail trim clinic. We've got some wonderful clients ready to get their nails done. Come on down. We're here till 2 p.m. today. It's only $7 for your dog or your cat. Look at, here's one that's ready to go. Are you ready for your nail, your pedicure? Get it? Pedicure? We've got a line started now. We've got a skilled staff ready to help your babies get their nails did. Here we are. Come on down. It's a blast.
Try your best to look like this is not your first time. You're fighting for the front row, that's a nice try. You're looking real nice, smelling like worth, walking like you deserve it. And if your feet are hurting, then that's when you know you brought the right equipment to put on the show. And let it flow, let it show, shine. Let it show, let it flow, shine. Welcome to the new way of living. It's just the beginning of lavish, from the floor to the ceiling. Welcome to the style you haven't seen in a while. It's lavish. It's lavish. It's lavish.
So I know years ago there was a relationship between Animal Action League, like years ago, probably like close to 20 years ago. So I reached out in 2000, I think it was 2015. No, it was 15 because I have the receipt from the very first time. I still have it. I reached out and I spoke to Melissa and she said, yeah, come up. And that's how it started. And then ever since, I've driven up here almost once or twice a month since then.
Yeah, offering low cost spay neuter.
It's all for owned pets. They're not animals from the shelter.
No.
They're all community owned pets. So they already have homes and it's just people, you know, seeking low cost spay neuter services for their pets.
And then we, twice a year, drive down to El Centro and do a 2-day clinic to save you the drive. And we get a special grant to do the animals in El Centro to kind of save him some time and energy. Just because we know that that area is in desperate need of low cost spay neuter services, because there is no strict laws on spay, you know, if your dog is fixed or not fixed. There's no.
If it wasn't for Animal Action League working with us, you know, what we're seeing right now, which is pretty bad, it would be worse.
Yeah, I'm just impressed the fact that this gentleman here has, you know, takes the effort of driving 2.5 hours with, you average 30 pets each time. Community Pets drives 2.5 hours to Joshua Tree for his community, gets them fixed, and then drives 2.5 hours back, you know, and, you know, who does that for their community? I have yet to find, you know, another director of any shelter that would do that. So, I mean, it makes us just even more wanting to help his community. You know, if anybody was to reach out, you know, we definitely would want to help, but yeah, we're at 9 years.
2015, that's the first time that I came up here, and then it just, I mean, we all clicked.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, spay neuter is definitely in both of our forefront of our passion, and when you meet people that have that, just, that's our everything, you know, it definitely shines through. And when you meet people with that same type of passion, it makes it easier to work with.
And then together you get a lot done. And I've been doing this for almost 20 years, and I've met a lot of people. I've met a lot of people in rescue. I've met a lot of veterinarians, and I've never met another individual in my 20 years of working in the animal welfare field that shares the same passion about spay and neuter specifically as, you know, the way that Melody does, or way the Animal Action League does.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The organization as a whole.
It's like, it's not a myth. I know currently, you know, people like to pretend like they don't see it, but his shelter is definitely an eye opener, a reality check of, you know, bursting at the seams. You know, you're constantly overflowing. Yeah. He reaches out to tons of other rescues, other organizations to pull animals out. Every time we've gone there, you know, every kennel is full, every cat cage is full, sometimes with multiples. Yeah. And people have, you know, it's a constant cycle, you know.
Just your daily dose of a reality check that shelters are still full. Stop buying from breeders. Stop letting your pets have dogs and kittens because we need to adopt. Don't shop. Let's go take a look. Hi, you need a home. You need homes. Yes, yes, say yep, tell them. Hi. 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 Oh, you guys need some homes? Yes, say we need homes. Say we need homes. All right. Close your eyes. They all need homes. Let's see what these dogs and cats need. What did you need? Say, I need a home. Oh, and those cats need homes? Oh, yes. Oh, look at, there's a little titty cat. But this one says, pick me. And this kitty cat. Oh, and that cat. And remember, humans have done this. Yep, the humans in the world. Not these animals. Shelter pets are just as good as any other kind of pet. Yeah? Yeah. I think you're stupid if you buy from breeders. I do. Because there's too many animals. Not enough homes. Too many animals, not enough homes. I will say that again and again. That's why we're here. This shelter is full. This is one shelter out of many, 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 many others. So let's be wise. Yeah, tell them. Say, spay and neuter. Stop letting me have babies. It's stupid. Oh my gosh. Why are you the cutest little puppy? It's sad.
People didn't want the animals anymore for whatever reason. You know, people say, oh, it's, you know, I've heard a million different reasons. But whatever the reason is, they couldn't keep that animal anymore. And then the animals get put into shelters. And when you have unsocialized animals that aren't used to anything other than you and your family only, and you shove them in a kennel with, you know, however many other dogs, it's I mean, it's pure torture for them. It's terrifying. They don't know anything. They don't know where they're at. They don't understand. It's not just dogs. It's not just cats. It's all animals. They all go through this horrendous experience because pet owners being irresponsible with their pets and people not thinking ahead, people not planning. I guess people just think that they're like empty vessels and that when you're done with them, like an old pair of shoes, you just get rid of them and get a new one especially when it comes to specific breeds. You know, certain breeds have specific requirements and people just, oh, well, it's a pretty dog and I want to get it. But
and it's a cute little puppy and then it gets into its...
Yeah, but it's going to grow up to weigh 60 pounds and it has, you know, a lot of energy needs and you live in a little apartment. Like you're not going to be able to give that animal what it needs and you're setting the pet up for failure. Right now, shelters everywhere, not just my shelter. I mean, the shelter that I run, Humane Society of Imperial County, we have, I think, with the dogs, I think we have 5 to 6 dogs in each kennel right now. And we only have 22 kennels. We're only meant to house comfortably about 80 animals and we have close to 300 in the shelter. I think right now animals are being put to sleep for time and space constraints more than they ever have. I know in some communities they're euthanizing between 500 to 700 a week and people just keep wanting to get rid of the pets. People keep backyard breeding and then those animals, you know, people are breeding their dogs because everybody's struggling right now and because of the way the economy is. And so people are breeding dogs to try to sell them and then they can't sell them and then they end up in shelters and then they end up being euthanized because nobody wants them. It's like, well, nobody wanted them out of your backyard. Nobody's going to want them in the shelter. So then you have all these people. It's like, oh, well, when I breed my dog, I make sure they all go to good homes. No, you don't. Before I was the director of the Humane Society of Imperial County, we didn't do adoption events. We didn't do spay and neutering. We didn't even spay and neuter the animals that were adopted. It was a very different operation than what it is now. And we euthanized a lot of animals. I would say, I mean, not that we kept track of anything really back then, but just if I had to guess, we probably euthanized, I would say 75% or more of the animals that came into our care.
Wow.
Having to watch that many animals we put to sleep just because.
Healthy animals.
And they were healthy. And there was a lot of times there was no rhyme or reason. It wasn't like they were aggressive or they were sick. It was just the director at that time was, oh, this dog's not going to get adopted, so just put it to sleep.
Yeah.
So, and then now, you know, with all of our programs that we have with spaying and neutering and then trying to educate the community, working with Animal Action League, you know, and the other vets that we work with to do what we do. I mean, if we didn't do what we do now or we didn't have the relationship that we have, more animals in my community would be being put to sleep just because.
So all he does is raffle thing to get donation.
The random raffle.
The random raffle. Is there something you do?
We do fundraisers throughout the year. We do a big one in every October. It's the Woofaween. It's like a Halloween carnival. And then we have a couple of other local businesses that do stuff for us throughout the year. And then, we'll do other things too. Like we'll do like prize drawings and stuff like that where people will donate items and then we'll raffle them off. And that helps bring in some money. It usually goes to vet bills because of how many animals we're taking in.
And they're hurt sometimes.
They're sick, and so we get them to a vet. We get them treated, and so we never do we not have a vet bill. The one thing that I've been trying to make people realize the most is that everybody thinks that I have to have a pet just because it's something that you have to do. Having a pet means having a responsibility. And when you have a pet, you have to realize that you're going to have to make changes in your life. You're going to have to make alterations to accommodate that animal. Now, whether it's time or financially, you need to understand that you are in charge of another life, a living, sentient, breathing, dreaming being that has a heartbeat. It's not a lamp that you can turn off at the end of the day when you leave the room or whatever. They're not like a light switch. They don't just stop when you're not home. People need to take these things into consideration and they need to plan for the future. And, at some point, my animal's gonna need medical care. I need to set aside a small, whether it's $50 a month, set something aside, so that way when your pet gets sick or injured, you have funding set aside to take care of that pet's medical needs. So you're not in a situation where you're turning your dog or cat, your pet into the shelter where it's probably going to get euthanized, or you're taking your pet to the vet to be euthanized for something that might be very easily treatable. If you want a pet and you're like, well, I work, 12 hours a day and on the weekends I'm never home and I like to travel, maybe you need to realize that having a pet just doesn't fit in with your lifestyle. Whatever, it is okay to not have an animal, because at the end of the day, when people make the wrong choices or people are selfish, it's the animals that suffer because of human selfishness. I do hope that you know how much I love you and I appreciate you for everything that you do. I mean, it's not even for me, it's, for my shelter, which is, that's my baby, that's my heart, that's my number one thing. And I remember the day we met, and I don't think it was just by chance. I think, God or whoever teamed us up for a reason.
I extremely believe that, our paths were definitely meant to cross. And I definitely get butterflies every time I know I'm going to see you, because you are a huge impact and part of my life. And when I know we're going to be working together, I know a lot of animals are going to get fixed. And I think we have the same sense of humor. And when I get to make you laugh, that brings me a lot of joy, because I know how hard you work, and I don't know how you work in a shelter, because I could not do what you do every day. And the fact when I call you at 9 o'clock and you're still at the shelter, it blows me away how much you do for every single animal on this planet. Is pretty amazing. So
thank you.
You're an amazing human.
We save a lot of lives together.
Yes, we do. Yeah, spay neuter.
And she makes really good food.
Yeah.
Great smoothies.
Yes, I haven't done that in a long time. All right. Skills Lab is trying to get newer vets or veterinarians that don't have the skill of high volume spay neuter down just yet. And in other vet hospitals, they don't do as many spay neuters as like Dr. Herman does. We average 27 to 33 spay neuters a day in like a 6-hour period. So he's got it down pretty quickly. And so what we're trying to hopefully get into a program is offer some type of, you know, I don't want to call it a class, but, you know, these are full-fledged vets that can come in and be able to practice their spay neuter skill and get it down to a point where they can do more spay neuters, you know, to be able to become a high volume vet, because I feel that that's what we need. You know, we have tons of people that want to donate, and that, you know, they say, oh, we can donate more money. Can you have more spay neuter clinics? And I wish that was the answer. I right now only have one spay neuter doctor that can do the amount of spay neuters that, you know, just because somebody donates more money, that doesn't mean I can do more spay neuters. He's got two hands. So if I can get more vets that can do more high volume, I feel like we can, yes, do more surgeries. So Skills Lab is more of a place that vets who want to learn the art of high volume spay neuter, which spay neuter is prevention, preventing more births from happening. So if we can do, you know, more spay neuters, maybe that's going to be less unwanted births from happening. And that's my goal. You know, is just being able to create more high volume spay neuter doctors. Whether it takes off or not, I don't know. But having access right now, we have the Molly trailer. We've got another, you know, with our other Animal Action League, that the only way that that's working is I have 2 surgery suites that can be right next door to each other. That's how it's becoming possible. You know, having, you know, my medical team right next door to a budding team, I guess, a birthing team, a baby team, I guess we call it, that can do maybe 9 surgeries in the same amount of time that we can do 30 surgeries, but maybe in 6 months they can do 20 surgeries. I don't know, you know, it's still very new. It's still very in its birthing project. So hoping.
These hands can only, you know, do so many before they give out. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. But yeah, that's one of the things with the Skills Lab is hoping that getting some of these doctors confident in their abilities to do surgeries and to do a lot of surgeries competently and enjoy it, is that maybe someday one of them will step in and take over for me. In the meantime, maybe that means I get to take a break and go on vacation, and they come in just for 2 or 3 days and do what they can do, so that we don't have to shut down if I want to take time off. Or like you said, maybe they go back to their clinics and start a spay and neuter program in their general practice, or maybe even another organization, or work with another established organization to do spays and neuters and things like that. So yeah, I think it's a bright future. We need more of us to really continue to make a difference. And it's the younger doctors and younger generations that are going to do it. And just like most things in any career that you have a passion for, hopefully you can inspire the younger generation or the next generation to replace you and instill it in them that this is a great thing. And once they get into it, they realize I'm going to pay it forward and start doing the same thing with the generation after them. And it doesn't even have to be a next generation. It can just be, you know, the next new vet that just graduated 3 years after you did, kind of a thing. So, yeah, we're going to do our best to sort of stock the spay and neuter doctors in the area as best we can, and see if we can continue to really do a job for the communities here. I was excited to kind of teach them. I enjoy imparting knowledge and teaching people. So I also remember back when I was a new baby vet, and it would have been great to have a mentor that would teach me to do something here and there. I had those, but to have it concentrated as a surgery like this would have been really neat. So I had no problem stepping in and taking a little teacher role with it, imparting the knowledge that I have, that I've learned over the years. And also as kind of a little refresher for what they were taught into school and what's being taught in school now versus what I learned 30 years ago. But yeah, I looked forward to it and knew it would be a fun experience, and it hasn't disappointed. Oh, I think it's absolutely possible that they could be doing high volume, high quality, high volume spays and neuters in a relatively short time. It's just a matter of being able to get the number of surgeries under your belt and your practice, and which is exactly what the skills lab is set up to do for us, is to give them experience in doing it. And I think that from when we started to now, there's been a big difference and a big improvement for what they've done and accomplished, both with learning new techniques that maybe they weren't taught in school, about the way you could do spays and neuters quickly, but also to get their own practice in the way that they were taught. So they can do their own techniques that they were taught and to try to get faster with that. And they've done very well. They've both done probably, I don't know, somewhere between 80 and 100 surgeries so far. And their times are improving. Their confidence is improving. Their experience is improving for seeing different types of conditions, pregnancies, in heats, things like that, they're all getting that here now rather than in their clinics as a first-time thing. So I think, I don't know what they've said, but I think that they've actually come a long way. They think their way through it. They work their way through it with confidence, and then maybe at the end say, is that okay? And it's like, yep, perfectly fine. I look forward to continuing on with it. I think they've been excited about it. And I think looking down the road, it is definitely something that each of them could do as, like, say, a replacement for me or for another organization. So yeah, it's been fantastic to this point.
What have I learned from Dr. Herman? Well, everything I do in surgery stems from right before I left for vet school. Last time I was here, he sat me down, gifted me my first surgical tools, and said, here's how you don't start bad habits so you can carry it on into everything you do. But specifically, if you drop a ovarian pedicle, which is the other end of the dog that is attached to the ovary, and you need to find it so you can stop the bleeding. He taught me how to follow other parts of the anatomy to locate it quickly. That's something that happens to every doctor at some point, and it's something we can fix. But having these concrete landmarks definitely helps me when I'm in that position, so that I can clear my mind and just say, okay, what do I need to find in order to fix this situation? He also, his mentorship has extended to every aspect of being a veterinarian, how to handle work stress, how to decide when, as a GP, you need to refer someone to a specialist. We're all very lucky to have his help. So why aren't people becoming vets? I definitely think there are a couple of reasons, one of which being a lack of support, whether it's financial or community-wise. It is an undertaking, and not everybody can pick up and move, as many of us have to get close to one of the few veterinary clinics in the country. But I also know from personal experience that there are certain challenges that we're facing today that we didn't used to face in the profession, and one of that one of those is cyberbullying. There are a couple of young ladies at the full service clinic where I work who want to become veterinarians, but when we encounter a client who is verbally or even physically abusive, threatens to whip up a mob online, a couple of them will say, well, I'm not sure that's something I want to shoulder as a veterinarian, because as part of the team, their responsibility to that is less. I definitely know that that is something directly people are doing to discourage young vets in our area.
Oh my Oh my god.
You're a baby. Such a cutie patootie. Oh, he said.
So they don't have a city that, they're towns. It's a little harder in those areas just because there's not like a government agency that, and that's tribal land too. So it's real touchy going into those places. They don't have an animal control that can go in there and help, with the spay neuter. We've been going to that area since 2005, and we have a lot of different people that can help us pull animals out. And me personally, I have a couple friends and different rescues. Animal Action League is not a rescue, but I've asked personal friends to take certain animals that we come across, and just encouraging the people in the area to spay and neuter their pets. But it's like emptying the ocean with a teaspoon in that area. A lot of the time, like, we're emptying the ocean with a teaspoon, because it's just like you fix these 5, and then these 5 over here are giving birth to 25 more puppies. So it's like, where does it end? I mean, I know it's not the same as it was years ago, but you're constantly, look at this guy. This little puppy just wants to lay in the middle of the road and not move. So see if he's hurt or what's going on. What are you doing, little puppy? Are you just tired? Or are you sick? What's going on? I'm gonna go get
Oh no.
yeah. So I'm gonna go get a towel. I'll be right back. It's like, you know what I mean? Nobody fucking cares.
Profession itself is hard in ways that not everyone is prepared to deal with. There is a lot of pain and death that someone who might want to become a vet as a young child because they love animals might not want to deal with on a day-to-day basis.
It is very devastating to think that if Animal Action League was to fold up, be gone, because our views are different than most, high volume spay neuter. If you look at pricing, as just an example, you look at other spay neuter clinics, they charge more for the female dogs. They charge more for the larger breed dogs, even though that's what's being killed in our shelters. The higher, that's what's overcrowding our shelters, which Jordin, our founder, was always like, that's the impact we need to make. We focus on the large breed female dog. So if you look at our pricing, it's more expensive to fix a male dog at Animal Action League than it is to fix a female dog at Animal Action League. So if they're sitting at home and they have a male dog or a female dog, it's cheaper to get your female dog fixed at Animal Action League, and nobody really has that mentality type of business plan. And then with the amount of subsidies we do, whenever somebody calls and says, how much does it cost to get our cat fixed? How much does it cost to get a dog fixed? I've trained my staff to say it's this amount of money if you're able to afford that. So we're leaving that door open to say, if you're able to afford that. So they can say, well, I can't afford that. Then we open up the doors with vouchers and pledge programs. And then we have the subsidies because people are giving us donations. We don't want money to be the reason why people aren't getting their animals fixed. And again, there's not a lot of places that do that. And that was another thing with Jordin. She never wanted money to be the reason why your animal's not getting fixed. So yeah, it would be completely devastating if we did lose like Dr. Herman. So we go around to why Skills Lab was invented. We're training newer vets, the high volume, high quality spay neuter, and then hoping that that's going to encourage more vets to want to learn it, to want to do more than just full service veterinary care. Yes, animals are going to get sick. Animals are going to break their legs. Animals are going to, need those other care and services. But pet overpopulation is never going to end until we can get a grasp on, pet, it's birth prevention. That's where we're really trying to help here. We are a different type of organization, and it's just been our basis. We're averaging about 400 animals. We're fixing a month, just in those two communities. We don't always, we do get kickback, from the community because they say we're not doing enough. No matter what we're doing, it always seems like we're not doing enough, even though, a regular vet clinic may be doing 50 spay neuters a month, and we're doing 450 spay neuters a month. But you take away those 450 spay neuters a month, and we're really trying to focus on the people that can't afford, the $300 to $600 spay neuter, and we're doing it for almost nothing. A lot of our spay neuters are pretty much free. So taking away that option for a lot of the community would be a huge impact on our shelters, on our streets. It's not something I like to think about. I know that it can happen, and it's a fear. It's definitely a fear of mine. I see how hard each and every one of my employees work. I see how hard my volunteers are put. They put their heart and soul into this organization, my board, and And then I just see, I get here sometimes at 6:30 in the morning, and there's already, 5 cars sitting in the back lot for standby, just hoping somebody doesn't show up to their appointment. That people want to do the right thing to get their pet fixed. And, we're an option that there's no other organization that gives this option. And so taking that away would greatly impact the animal overpopulation, I think, in a horrible way. A lot of people, say, well, your job. Animal Action League is not much more than a job to me. Animal Action League is a passion. This is my passion. Spay neuter is something that I will most likely be doing until I'm pretty much dead. Whether I'm being on the board or whatever, I'm not going to be giving up Animal Action League is, I kind of semi look at it like it's my child. Even though I did not born Animal Action League, I was kind of handed a torch. I put my heart and soul into it. I'm constantly thinking of how I can make Animal Action League better, how I can continue Animal Action League even after I'm gone. This is not a job. This is definitely more of it's a passion. It's a way of life. Birth control is my way of thinking about. I could never be in rescue. I could never be in, shelter type work. I'm all about prevention and how we can continue to cut down on pet overpopulation and the overcrowding of shelters and euthanizing healthy animals and the street animals, the street dogs, just like that time that you caught on film, and that dog that was dying on the street, and how that happens, and how when we've been in thermal and we've seen the dogs get hit by cars, and just the senseless dying that we're seeing, and people don't realize, well, just one litter's okay. One litter is not okay. Litter is just another word for trash. And it's very sad that, I'm constantly having to educate. But, sometimes I like it when I see the light come on in somebody's eyes and they see it. And I have to remember that people don't live and breathe the spay neuter and the pet overpopulation the way I do. And I have to take a few steps back and just remember I'm just here to educate. I'm just here to, I guess, just be a vessel. Be a voice for the voiceless. And, this is my mission, and I'm grateful that I get to be making a difference in this world before I leave it.
Micromanager like a boss. Yeah. There is nobody that micromanages like Melody.
Oh no.
I disagree. But she's also a passionate warrior for the cause. There is nobody that is more passionate about spay and neuter than Miss Melody. And you know it from the beginning of the time to the end. Yep. She's a mighty defender of her staff.
Oh, yes.
And her volunteers. If you work for her, you're gold. And anybody that touches you, she's on them. And number 4, and there's never more obvious than when we're at Chicanita, she is an animal thief for all the right reasons. To the point where she ties herself in knots and has headaches and backaches, and so I thought that we should give her her very own spa day.
Oh, yay!
I look at us as a piece of the entire veterinary puzzle. What we do is not something that's done in general practice. And a lot of these patients have kind of fallen by the wayside. And so without us being that puzzle piece to complete the puzzle, you have an incomplete picture of veterinary medicine and what it can do and how we can help our animal community and owner community and just veterinary medicine in general. So as specific of a niche that we have, it's a really important one when you're trying to get a picture of the whole veterinary world completed.
There are places I remember all my life, though some have changed, some forever, not for better. Some have gone and some remain. All these places had their moments with lovers and friends. I still can recall some are dead and some are living. In my life, I've loved them all. But of all these friends and lovers, there is no one compares with you. And these memories lose their meaning when I think of love as something new. Though I know I'll never lose affection for people and things that went before. I know I'll often stop and think about them. In my life, I love you more. Affection for people and things that went before. I know I'll often stop and think about them. In my life, I love you more. In my life, I love you more.
There's our heroes.
You had a good night on that. Yeah. Dancing, throwing all these dollars at you. All right.